I am almost convinced at this point that Don Lemon is trying to bury his mainstream media career. I'm starting to think he hates his job at CNN. And look, who can blame him? If I had to wake up at 4 o'clock every morning just to be sandwiched in between two sensitive women, two women who are offended by everything that I say, I would bury my career too. I mean, Don Lemon, he can't do or say anything right at this point. Have you ever been in a toxic relationship where nothing you do is right, everything you say turns into an argument? There's this scene in the movie Goodfellas. It's where Ray Liotta, Robert De Niro, and Joe Pesci, they show up to Joe Pesci's mother's house in the middle of the night. It's right after they whacked out Billy Batts. They needed to get in and out of the house quickly, but Joe Pesci's mom made them stay for a late night dinner. She tells this story. The story's about an old married couple. The wife talks and talks and talks. Husband never says anything. One day the wife is complaining because her husband never speaks, never talks to her. The poor guy says something to the effect of, "Every time I speak, I say something wrong." The wife responds, "Shut up, you talk too much." I feel like Don Lemon is in the same situation. And look, I am not in the business of defending Donnie. I have been critical of Don Lemon for years, but it seems like every day now, this dude is making headlines. This dude is being blasted in the media, and it's mostly conservative media. They're criticizing him for doing something that Don Lemon rarely does: telling the truth. A couple of weeks ago, the Lemon was criticized for chastising Caitlin Collins. It was so horrific. I've never had a lemon yell at me before. I'm used to fondling lemons. I'm used to lemons giving me happy tears. Don Lemon has traumatized me. The truth is, Don Lemon had every right to come down on Don Collins. Every time he opened his mouth, Caitlin Collins would insert her useless opinion that no one gives a fuck about. She was constantly interrupting him on set. After Donnie called her out on it, it ain't happened again. She was basically told, "Know your role. I'm the star, you're the help. Your job is to contribute when needed. My job is to carry the show." If this show continues down its path to embarrassing failure, Caitlin Collins will not be blamed for it. The blame will fall on Don Lemon. Last week, Don Lemon made headlines because he didn't compliment Caitlin Collins on her interview with James Comer. After the interview, Donnie delayed going to commercial break to blast James Comer for citing the New York Post. The Lemon was pissed off because, according to him, the New York Post is not a reliable source for factual information. He wants to see politicians getting their information from trusted sources. You know, like the New York Times or Joy Reid. If I wanted to read some entertaining fiction, I'd pick up the New York Times. If I was going bald and I needed guidance on wig selection, I'd contact Joy Reid. Other than that, Joy Reid and the New York Times are absolutely useless. While Donnie was trying to make his point, the poppy sitting next to him went into full bloom, spreading her opium seeds throughout the studio. "Oh, Caitlin, that interview was amazing! I am so impressed at your ability to ask a question, then interrupt when you don't like the answer." Poor Donnie. He's trying to make an invalid point while Poppy Harlow is pretending this interview by Caitlin Collins puts her on the same level as Howard Stern. The Lemon, he did end up complimenting Katie later in the show, but that was not enough for Megyn Kelly. No! You see, this was an example of mansplaining. Casey, what the hell is mansplaining? Mansplaining occurs when a man doesn't agree with a feminist or he tries to make a point and she doesn't like it. It's an instant violation of the woke commandments. I agree a lot of the time with Megyn Kelly. I agree a lot of the time with Fox News, but I say this all the time. This is not an agenda-driven channel. I'm not here to sway your opinion. My job is to be objective. Politically, socially speaking, there is next to nothing I have in common with Don Lemon. But that doesn't mean I'm automatically jumping his ass when he's speaking the truth, just like he did this morning. I feel like Megyn Kelly, along with conservative media outlets, they're criticizing Don Lemon this morning because it's Don Lemon. They're doing the same thing to him that they accuse the woke media of doing to them. There has been a lot of controversy surrounding the trio of failure on CNN this morning. Unfortunately for the two Dons and the Poppy, none of this controversy is translating into ratings. They're still hovering around 400,000 viewers. Ratings in the key demo, the lowest CNN has seen in over a decade. This past Monday, this dump drew 330,000 viewers, barely making the top 150 on cable. Donnie and his Lemons, they don't rank inside the top 15 on their own network. In terms of overall television shows, CNN This Morning ranks outside the top 300. This show generates headlines in the mainstream media damn near on a daily basis. I have never seen a show receive so much media attention, whether positive or negative, and still manage to be a huge embarrassing failure in the ratings. Well, except of course, Bomani Jones. As you guys know, no one does failure like the Bobo. He receives nothing but positive attention from the mainstream media, glowing praise for his ability to sink ratings on HBO to the bottom of the woke sea. Yet normal people continue sending the Bobo the same message. You are an insufferable fuck. Get off my TV. Earlier this morning, Don Lemon generated headlines again. I swear to God. This is so perplexing. No one is watching this show. It seems like conservative media outlets are paying some poor intern pennies on the dollar to spend 3 hours every morning watching Donnie, waiting for him to say something mildly controversial. This morning, they were talking about former South Carolina Governor Nikki Haley. Recently, Nikki Haley announced her campaign to dethrone Joe Biden, a campaign which will likely nominate her for the 2024 Huge Embarrassing Failure Awards because there is no fucking way Nikki Haley will be president. Not of the United States anyway. She might be elected president of her child's Girl Scout group, but she ain't running the country. Earlier this week, Nikki Haley was talking about the need to cognitively test politicians over the age of 75. To be honest with you, that's not a bad idea. Matter of fact, why don't we give this test to all politicians? I have a feeling half the politicians in Washington don't have the ability to comprehend at a third grade level. Don Lemon, though, he doesn't agree. Donnie, he's just not comfortable discussing age. Age is only a number. Yeah, the preferred phrase for most of the inhabitants of Gen Pop. While discussing his discomfort with age, Donnie managed to bring out the fake outrage in Poppy Harlow. Watch for yourself.
And notice Nikki Haley, when she said that yesterday, obviously a dig at Biden, but she said 75 and up, so that would include Trump.
Elder statesman here.
This whole talk about age makes me uncomfortable. I think it's the wrong road to go down. She says people, politicians or something are not in their prime. Nikki Haley isn't in her prime. Sorry. When a woman is considered to be in her prime in her 20s and 30s and maybe 40s.
What are you talking? Wait.
That's not according to me.
Prime for what?
It depends. I mean, it's just like prime. If you look it up, if you Google when is a woman in her prime, it'll say 20s, 30s, and 40s. I don't necessarily.
40s. Oh, I got another.
I'm not saying
decade.
I agree with that. So I think she has to be careful about saying that politicians aren't in their prime.
You need to qualify. Are you talking about prime for like childbearing, or are you talking about prime for being president?
What the facts are. Google it. Everybody at home. When is a woman in her prime? It says 20s, 30s, and 40s. And I'm just saying Nikki Haley should be careful about saying that politicians are not in their prime and they need to be in their prime when they serve, because she wouldn't be in her prime according to
Google.
You fucking sexist, you ageist. How dare you say women have prime years? This is toxic masculinity. No, this is biology. This was also a rare case of Don Lemon speaking the truth. At 51 years old, Nikki Haley is well past her prime. That is not Don Lemon's opinion, it's a fact of life. According to a study from the University of Michigan, a man's desirability peaks around 50 years old. Typically speaking, men are less desirable when they're young. We're immature, it takes us longer to grow up. Guess what it is for women? When does their desirability peak? 18. According to the Healthy Journal, the prime years of a woman's life occur between the ages of 30 and 39. For men, it's a full decade later. Well, Casey, you're being sexist. Women can age just as gracefully as men. Yeah, sure. Some women can. Matter of fact, Nikki Haley is one of them. Before this video, I had no idea how old she was. I thought Nikki Haley was in her early 40s. I was surprised to find out she was over 50 years old. Generally speaking, though, women mature faster than men, both emotionally and physically. That's not my opinion. It's just a fact of life. If you don't want to take my word for it, if you don't believe in prime years, go look at the mainstream media. Look at the sports media. Look at ESPN. How many women in their 50s, 60s, 70s do you see on ESPN? Chris Berman is almost 70 years old, still on television. Outside of Doris Burke, I can't think of another woman on television at ESPN over the age of 50. Mina Kimes, 37, Sarah Spain, 42. When Roger Ailes was running Fox News, it was the same way. Most of the women he hired were in their 20s and 30s. Geraldo's on Fox News. He's got to be 100 years old by now. You see a lot of older men in the mainstream media, but we don't see too many older women. I don't think Don Lemon said anything offensive. We talk about the prime years of male athletes all the time. LeBron James, 38 years old. Does anyone consider LeBron to be in the prime of his career? We have been talking about Tom Brady being past his prime for a decade. I don't remember Tom Brady ever being offended. So why is it so offensive when Don Lemon mentions the prime years for women? I don't get it. Not to mention the fact Don Lemon was trying to make the point that we shouldn't be talking about people's prime years. And for some reason, Poppy Harlow was still offended by it. The Daily Beast expressing their fake outrage. Don Lemon offends women again with completely offensive remarks. I get so tired of the fake outrage. I get so tired of people looking for something to offend them. I got news for everyone. All of us get older. We all exit our prime years. When I was 21 years old, I could drink until 4 o'clock in the morning, Wednesday through Sunday, wake up at 8 the next morning feeling 100%. At 38 years old, I drink a 6-pack of beer. I'm hungover for 2 days. I'm not in my prime anymore. I've accepted it. I used to be able to eat anything I wanted, not gain a pound. Today, I eat a quarter pounder, I gain 10 pounds. Maybe it's just me. I don't understand the fake outrage, but you let me know. Did Don Lemon say anything offensive? Sound off in the comments below. Make sure to like and subscribe. Click the notification bell to receive all notifications from the channel. Best way to contact me is by email at btlkc84@gmail.com, KC_BTL84 on Twitter. I'll see you guys later.